Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a Three Geeks conversation. Today it's Destiny and Justin, and we are joined by Todd Haberkorn. It is so great to talk to you. How are you?
Doing swell. Just diving into 2026 with all sorts of adventures going on, and I'm sure it's the same for you. Just trying to keep them all, balanced and juggled and all that fun stuff. So happy to be here.
So, what kind of got you into voice acting?
Well, so for me, I it was kind of the last thing on the list of to-dos. I didn't even think it was an option for me because I started off in stage and did that for years and studied that and went to college for that and did film and television and such. And then voiceover was something that I didn't think was on the menu, but it came to my front door, and I was trying to be open to things that come my way. And I tried it out, and I thought at the time that I could kind of do both, do on camera and voiceover, but voiceover turned into writing and directing and producing and on top of the acting. So that wasn't necessarily an option. So I was like, well, let's just see how far it goes. And that was a minute ago. So we're still going. So happy to still be on the ride.
Yeah, you've worn many hats in the industry. How do you balance all of that?
How do I balance all of that? Well, sometimes I don't, and there are points, and it's like with anything. I think a lot of times people think that they can get to a balanced spot and that they'll always stay there, but really, it's flexibility. It's going. Some nights you're gonna. Oh, did I freeze? You have me?
Yeah, you're back now. But
okay. My speaking of voiceover, my studio is being worked on right now, so this is like a secondary spot. So it's like I have a new space that's being built, and side quest. That's probably what's going on. But yeah. So it's just like balancing it all and realizing that sometimes you're gonna stay up all night recording, and then hopefully you can keep those down to a minimum. And it's just, for me, with all the different hats that I've had the pleasure of wearing, it's an opportunity to hopefully step out of my comfort zone and learn some things that will help all the other areas of voiceover and such. Right. So I just try to, when I go to the buffet, I want to try a little bit of everything. So, and then see what sticks.
Sure. What would you say that the stage acting really helped your voiceover? Because when we've talked to previous voice actors, a lot of the feedback I've gotten has been, you really got to know how to act before you jump into voice. Like, it really being a really solid, just general actor helps, which I think is probably most things. But like, did you take a lot of things from stage?
I mean, the stage acting and film acting and voiceover are different sports. How I like to equate it is like, just because someone wins a Super Bowl doesn't mean they're going to go win the World Cup.
Sure.
They're all sports, but they're all different sports. And so it definitely helps. It works you work that athletic acting muscle, but they're very different disciplines. Like with voiceover, you have the script right in front of you. You don't need to memorize it. On stage, you need to memorize everybody's stuff, including your own. And so, but there are definitely things that I take from stage that I think, because I think that if you understand the idea that, like, we always hear it, you always hear like knowledge is power, and the more you know, and blah blah blah. But few people keep that in mind. So it's like, if you can get some stage acting under your belt and some film acting under your belt, and voiceover is what you want to do, that can only help you. And so that's going back to what I was just talking about. I try to be a little sponge for everything I come across.
Yeah, awesome.
It's a good thing. Did you kind of have this, oh, this is it moment where you realized like this was going to be your career?
Well, I kind of worked myself into a place where it had to be. So when I moved to LA, all my eggs were they were in that basket. It had
Yeah.
to work because I didn't have any other option. And so knowing that, I did everything I could to, that's different. Putting all your eggs in that basket is different than just jumping off the cliff. Those are two different things. So I prepared. I went and met with people in LA. I let them know I'm coming. I saved up, X amount of money to get me started. And I tried to do as much as I could beforehand. And looking back on it, I would do things a little bit differently just to help the cause even more. But it kind of had to work out. And I'm so glad it did.
Yeah.
But it's that ever changing, ever evolving, personal universe that we all have. So it's something that I still work at and every single day. Right before this, I was recording. So it's something that I never take it for granted. That's what it is. I don't take it for granted.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before you joined, Dustin and I were just chatting. And it's like, man, you are always working. I was looking at your IMDb and it's just like a wall of just really cool things you've done. It's really sweet. Like,
well, thank you. I try to, it's just a matter of trying to find those opportunities to get in there and play. And I don't try to, I know that there are some people that are like, you know what, I only do this type of VO, or I don't do this, or I do film and I don't do commercials. And for me, I just look for quality, and whether that quality comes in the form of an audiobook or a commercial or a film, I'm open to it as long as it has that common DNA of hopefully quality. So that's what I try to look out for.
Love that.
Speaking of quality, I mean, you've been in like one of the longest running, if not the longest running anime, is One Piece. Like how'd you get involved with One Piece? What was that like? I mean, that world's crazy.
One Piece, I was still very new to Funimation at the time. So I was in the running for the final selections. But even with that in mind, I was up for, I had a callback. I auditioned for everybody, but I had a callback for Usopp, which went to Sunny. And Sunny Straight, it just comes down to these characters had to get approved. The actors had to get approved by Japan. And Sunny, he's a great actor. And also on top of that, to add to that, he was a more known entity in that world than me. I was just starting out there. And so came close, and I found my way into One Piece through other characters, and I adapted some of the scripts and I directed some of it. And like I directed one of the ones that springs to mind is I directed Travis Willingham, he who played Ace. I directed his initial death scene. I heard he's been back since then, but I directed some of his final stuff. I directed a couple other actors, their first entry into the series. So I stood and I did everything in that world except engineer on it at some point. Actually, no. I did engineer on the show as well. So I wore every hat for that show at one point or another.
That's awesome.
So
it was really sweet. Yeah, it was really sweet.
So I personally had never really been much into anime, and someone turned me on to Soul Eater, which became one of my favorites of all time, still to this day. Death the Kid being my all-time favorite character in that series. How was that experience?
You make symmetrical choices. Thank you for giving that show a chance. That was actually my last tattoo, was a Death the Kid tribute. And so I'm getting another one next week, actually. I'm going to be getting a tattoo for Destiny 2 for a character I've played on there for a good while. But with Soul Eater, I initially, I knew nothing about that show when I signed on. And I was at a lunch with some people at Funimation, and this is before it was recorded, and they said, hey, there's a show coming called Soul Eater. You should pay attention to this one character that rides around on a skateboard.
I got to jump into the video game world because you were a part of a game that took over the globe. I mean, I remember friends just not stop playing this game, World of Warcraft. I was that came out when I was high school going into college, and I had friends that just like failed out of school. Like both times, like just college took a hit for some of my friends because of World of Warcraft. Like,
you gotta grow your character attributes. It takes time.
That's true.
Yeah, that was working with Blizzard has been awesome. Whether it was through World of Warcraft, it was we've worked on Overwatch 2 together, Diablo 4, Hearthstone. What is it? What's that game? Heroes of the Storm. And so it's their quality level is really impressive, that they've been able to maintain their quality over so many years. And I always, when I think about great in-game videos and cinematics, I always think of Blizzard. So to be a part of the fabric of anything that they're doing is always a real amazing surprise for me. So happy to continue to be a part of those different threads.
Yeah, and you mentioned Destiny 2, Bungie. Like I know Destiny's 2 still under Bungie. I know they kind of stuff.
Yeah. We were just I just did they have this Bungie Foundation where they raise funds for charity for different ailments, and we were just out there doing a fundraiser for them. They raised, I want to say a little over $2 million, and so they definitely have a lot going on with more Destiny 2, but then also they're prepping Marathon that comes out next month, and I'm excited to see how that comes out.
And you mentioned a tattoo. Are there any spoilers? What are you getting? What is it? You said a character?
I was in a session, and I said, half joking, I was like, you know what? I got this Soul Leader tattoo recently. I've been doing Destiny 2 for like almost 10 years now. I think it's time to get a tattoo of it. Would some of the artists from Bungie and Destiny be up for designing it? And so they said yes, but I think they thought maybe I was kidding. Well, as we got closer to this charity event, I brought it up again, and they realized I was serious. And so they got some of the artists that work on Destiny to design a tattoo that incorporates Gambit and things about the Drifter and such. And they how awesome is that to get people that work on it that are at the game. So I'm gonna get it next Saturday, and I'll show you.
Dude, that's incredible. Yeah, that's super sweet.
One of mine was kind of going back to Soul Eater, sorry. But Death the King kind of has a really specific comedic timing. How much of that gets to be like improv by you versus scripted?
Well, with Soul Eater, because it was an anime that we were dubbing into English, a lot of that timing is already predetermined from the animation and the Japanese actors. But within those lines, you can find a little bit of nuance to make it your own. And so I try to do that whenever I go in for a show, whatever the show is, whatever the medium is, whether it's a scripted podcast or anything in between. And so I tried to find those places because, yes, you want to honor what's there, but then also at the same time, you want to put your stamp on it. And so hopefully I was able to do that.
Another question about like you voice in Italy and Hetalia Access Powers. That character's kind of pure chaos energy. What's the hardest part of Controlled Unhinged?
Well, with that show, it was always a challenge to go fast enough. So the director would always say, yes, that was very fast how you did that, but you got to go even faster. So whatever you hear is never artificially sped up. That's me just getting to that speed that they need.
Wow.
And initially with Italia, I actually voiced England. And so I did a whole season of England first that never saw the light of day. And so the actor that was doing England dropped out of the role. And so they was doing Italy. He dropped out of the role. So I went into audition for Italy and then took over for Italy and continued on from there. So what everyone C's is just I was Italy from season 1, but initially I was just England.
Wow, fun facts.
Yeah.
What's with dubbing? What is something that like most fans they don't realize, like a misunderstanding that most fans tend to have?
I would say that we as voice actors have more insight to the production than we do. For example, when I record on Fairy Tale, we are kind of the last to know when anything's going to happen. So when we recorded the 100 Years Quest, I didn't know till the week of that I was going to record on the show before the first episode was supposed to be released. So I think that's the biggest misconception. There are so many moving parts behind the scenes. We're included in so few of those parts. And I understand aspects of that. I do wish that it's just the industry. It's everything moves so quickly with anime, and everything is typically on such a tight timeline and tight budget and all this kind of stuff. They just don't include us in that process, and they totally could, but it's what are their priorities, and so that's not one of their priorities.
What was it like? You mentioned Fairy Tale, and I'd love to hear more about it because you've been on 300 plus episodes. That's incredible. Is there's something to that long running of a show? Like, is that stressful? Is it cool? Is it like just the security blanket of having that? Or
well, security blanket in the sense that, I mean, they're really when we record these shows, that's 353 episodes over about 15, almost 20 years.
Yeah, fair.
Which sounds like a lot of episodes, but there are times when we get in there and we record, not anymore because now we do a simul release, so we do one episode at a time. But early on, we would do 3 episodes in a day, 4 episodes. So that adds up quickly. So in the sense that it's not like a TV show, like something like Big Bang Theory, where they're going to shoot 26 episodes and that's going to take up the majority of their year. These episodes take up so little of our time that, and also famously with what anime, the compensation of doing anime, that would not do it alone. You couldn't do that. That's the nuts and bolts side of it. On the fandom side of it, and in terms of the legacy of anime, that is a gift that I cherish all the time, of how Fairy Tail has changed people's lives, how it's introduced them into anime, how it's become such a comfort show for people. I've seen it bring so many people together, and in a world where it's hard to find things that do that, it's really nice to be a part of something that does, like that show. And so I will forever be grateful to be in that universe and continue to work on it with this next season of the 100 Years Quest.
You direct some voice acting now and stuff like that too. Has that changed the way that you do your work, or does it help you having done voice acting when directing?
Well, I've been directing since I was 18. So wow. I've had the pleasure of directing a lot of different mediums of entertainment and just storytelling in general. And yes, I would say directing does help me in other avenues. And I'm continuing to learn all the time. But when I see other actors get in there and see their process and what they do, I try to, again, be a sponge. I just try to be a sponge. And so I feel like I direct and I have my own little style of directing. And I think that a lot of times the way that voiceover is set up, it's hard to notice a director's style because we control so little of the final product. We control the voices, but the visuals, all that kind of stuff, it's different than film. On film, I would control with the DP a lot of the visuals, a lot of the sound design, a lot of the edit, a lot of the performance. With voiceover, you get one slice of that pie. And even that slice of the pie, you don't get all of that. So it's not about, I'm not saying that in the means of talking about control. What I'm illustrating that even though I direct voiceover, there's still so many cooks in that kitchen. It's really hard to put your personal stamp on it. The personal stamp comes in when actors leave a session and they go, this is how I felt about that session. It was a great session, or it was a bad session, or it was this, that's where you make that's where you make yourself memorable, for better or worse. So I just try to keep that in mind and be the least squeaky wheel.
What makes a voice actor stand out to you, or any actor for that matter? What is kind of like something that will stand out for you in an audition?
In an audition, what stands out to me is that's like a 7-layer burrito. There are a lot of layers to that, but what stands out to me is are choices that they make. What are the choices? And it doesn't mean make big, bold choices all the time, but what are the choices they're making that show me they understand the assignment? That's a big one. And then another one is just the quality of the actual audio. Because sometimes I'll get reads from people that it makes it tough. I mean, they're in their kitchen and I can hear the echoes of the kitchen and that does affect it. It's like seeing a photo where you can tell the person in the photo is appealing, but the lens was bad, the lighting was bad, it's blurry, it's all that stuff plays into it still. And so I would say, just to simplify it, those little items are things that I look out for.
To the big things, yeah. That makes sense.
To kind of pull on that thread at least a little bit, and more kind of internally for you, you've done so many voices and different pieces of work. How do you know you found the voice for a character? Because I'm sure you've done it 1,000 times by now, like in terms of how you do it. So how do you know you found the right pitch?
Well, it's a matter of, it's two things. It's trusting a good director will be my GPS. The director will be my GPS to make sure that I'm in the same universe as what we need, number one. Number two, it's knowing my strengths and weaknesses. So if I know my strengths and weaknesses, I know what I'm capable of in that production kitchen. If I know that I make desserts really well, but I don't make good salads, well, I'm not going to try to make a salad. I'm going to try to make a dessert for you. And hopefully the production knows that I make good desserts. So it's a communication, and it's also an understanding of what my capabilities are. Going back to what we were talking about, knowledge is power. I need to have that self-knowledge. And I run into a lot of actors that think they can do everything. You cannot do everything. You just can't. And that's okay. You don't have to do everything. I would love to sound like Chris Sabat, but I can't sound like Chris Sabat. So I stay in my pockets of where I know that I can thrive, and I know where I don't do so well. I still know how to do those, but those have to be very specific projects. So I think that a lot of times people look at their range and they think they see it as a limitation. Whereas I say, no, you've honed in on what your range is. So don't look at it like you're selling yourself short, or there are cases obviously where you do, but it's not about selling yourself short or saying, giving up. It's honing in on what you can do. So it's like your car. Your car is great at getting you from point A to B, but can it go be a boat in the water? No. So does that mean you throw away your car? No, that just means your car is great for car things and you get a boat for boat things. And it's just understanding what mode of transportation you are behind the mic.
Sure.
But that said, do you have like a favorite type of character to voice?
The one with the most lines.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Man, you're in some of my favorite stuff. Solo Leveling. Can you tell me anything? I love Solo Leveling. Is there anything you could tell me at all about that show? Would be super.
That was that was not one of the roles that had the most lines. That was a real quick one.
Sorry.
And so for me, it's trusting the director. It's trusting Caitlin to guide me as she knows how to do well. I worked with her on Ouran High School Host Club and several other shows. And so just trusting her, sitting back and going like, you know what, give me the ingredients that I need to know. I don't need to know everything on the menu. Just show me the dish that you need me to know about. And so when you go in for those quick sessions, that's where a good director is crucial.
Sure.
But also just experience, because I know what that show genre is. And so I know it's in anime, it's an action genre. So I know the vibe. Typically, I'll know the vibe. And so that coupled with a good director, and you can be in business.
Yeah. Similar to that, it was Bleach hopefully a lot more lines. I've not watched 1,000 Year Blood War, but I've seen Bleach. Mm-hmm. But how was that?
Working on Bleach, in all the capacities that I have in terms of characters and over the years, and that is archetypes, and there are modalities in anime that people work in character-wise. And so as long as I know where I fit into that puzzle, I pretty much will know where we need to go. Essentially, the specifics, again, will come from the director. And then I just try to show up and pay attention and be the least squeaky wheel so they can get their job done.
Middle squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
One of our co-hosts for 3 Geeks, Scott, is a big Full Metal Alchemist fan, and he wanted us to ask you about that experience because you voiced one of his favorites.
Yeah, that was getting to work with Mike McFarlane on that show. He directed me on Attack on Titan as well, and I think it was Eden of the East, and a lot of great shows, Summer Wars. And so it was great to be asked to be a part of that. I was recording Hitalia actually when he asked. He came in and told me about this show. There's a character in it that's a prince, and he's like, I want you to voice for this show. And I didn't know what property it was from. And he goes, you'll see it when you get in there. And I get in there and I saw the iconic animation style of Full Metal, and I knew it was in that world, and we proceeded from there. And so, it's for me, in general, it's not about necessarily, it's like the projects in terms of what world they're in, whether it's Batman or Superman or Marvel, those are all amazing. Those are exactly the types of things I want to work on. But what makes them memorable for me are the people involved, because that's what I'm going to be. Those are the things I'm going to be spending the most time with, are the people. And so that's what makes it memorable for me. And so whether it is an anime or a video game or a podcast, as long as the people are of, quality and know what they're doing, I'm in, and I'll remember it.
That's awesome. It's a good thought.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you've got to do a lot of fan conventions. Is there like a fun kind of fan moment or an emotional one even that kind of stands out to you?
There are too many to name. Too many. They're from all over the world. I've had the one language that is congruent and sustained through all these conventions is the language of happiness and gratitude. And to be able to speak that with so many fans of different ages and types and ranges. That's my dog Juniper. That's amazing. Isn't that right? That's amazing, right, Junie? Yeah. So to get to do that is and to be able to absorb that makes me feel like that.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Speaking of Juniper,
yeah.
you have a whole book. You have a freaking animal I'm spacing on the name, but foundation to give back.
Yes,
I love it.
The Humane Beings,
Thank you.
thehumanebeings.org. And
Great spokesperson.
yeah, she's definitely a loud spokesperson. But yeah, thehumanebeings.org. We're a little bit over a year old. Hold on 1 second. That's my cue for last question. But yeah, thehumanebeings.org. We try to raise funds and awareness about animals and shelters, and we aren't a rescue, but we assist other rescues, because all the rescues have the same challenge, which is raising funds and raising awareness. So we want to be that entity that comes in there and helps them so that they can focus on their mission of taking care of the animals. So we've been to the world's largest bat sanctuary. We've been to the lions, tigers, and bear rescue near San Diego. We've been to a beautiful facility in Northern California that focuses on all types of animals, with dogs and cats. And we're gearing up for our next rescue right now. Actually, just trying to find the right fit logistically. It's a lot of moving parts, but that's what we're working on top of all the VO stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you have a book, right? Squirm's
Big Day. Big Day. That was my first children's book, and all those proceeds, when you get that book, go towards our rescue. And it features mine and Mrs. H's our pup that passed. He was 14. And we miss him very much, but this is a tribute to him, and it's available on Kindle. It's available on Audible, the fully sound produced and sound designed version. I narrated, and then I have hard copies that you can get at our website or when you see me at a convention. So we've got fun options to give people a little bit of a taste of what his personality was like. I feel like the artist, Alyssa, she did the illustrations for the book. She really captured the essence of Squirm. And so we miss him all the time. Yeah. And we love you too, Juniper, but we miss Squirm.
Sure. Part of your heart.
As always.
Yeah. It's a big conversation, a big good thing going into getting a pet, right? Is eventually they're going to be gone, and it's hard. Yeah. It's always hard.
Yeah.
Is your podcast still going? The Humane Beings podcast? Is that still?
Yes, so a movie comes out starting tomorrow in theaters, an anime film that I directed the English dub of. That was also going on at the same time as me. I'm directing the last season of Beastars, which comes out next month. Was going on at the same time as I was directing Elder Scrolls Online, which was going on at the same time as I was voicing all the things that I voiced. So that put our podcast behind a little bit. And so we're actually going to be doing an episode Monday, and we'll get that out the door. But now that all that stuff is come out, and Beastars is coming out next month, and the movie starts tomorrow in theaters and IMAX, I've got a little bit more bandwidth. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I feel Juniper wanting to leave. I can feel it in my heart.
Juniper's letting me know that I gotta tend to Juniper adventures, but yeah. Hopefully I was able to give you a little bit of enlightenment into my universe, and I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Where can everybody find you online?
The easiest way, because there's so many socials, the easiest way to go to my website, toddhaberkorn.com, and you can see all my socials. You can see thehumanebeings.org, their socials, and follow all the things. Knowledge is power, right? So find out about me, find out about the animal rescue there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Todd. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, and I'll look up for the episode.
Yeah,
Sounds great.